Hello and welcome. Today we're going to break down the absolute core principles from one of the most powerful books ever written, Dale Carnegie's 1936 masterpiece, How to Win Friends and Influence People. Let's get right into it.
Okay, let's start with a bit of a puzzle. Imagine there's one single skill that is more valuable than any other. But here's the weird part, it's a skill that's almost never formally taught anywhere. What is it?
You don't have to take my word for it. John D. Rockefeller, one of the wealthiest people in history, said it himself. He made it crystal clear that mastering human relations isn't just some soft skill. It's the ultimate key to success. He would literally pay more for that than any other skill on earth.
And that's what's so strange, right? If this skill is so incredibly valuable, where do you actually go to learn it? Carnegie pointed out that even with all its importance, finding a practical, common-sense course on this any university was nearly impossible.
So what's the very first major roadblock to dealing with people effectively? Well, it's our natural and almost always counterproductive tendency to criticize. Psychologically, it's a complete dead end. It does nothing but trigger resentment and immediately put people on the defensive. To really see just how badly criticism fails, let's take a trip back in time to a really dramatic showdown involving one of the era's most notorious criminals. After weeks on the run, a cop killer named Two Gun Crowley was finally cornered in his sweetheart's apartment over on West End Avenue. And this wasn't some quiet arrest. We're talking 150 police officers in a massive gun battle. For over an hour, a residential neighborhood in New York City sounded like a war zone, just echoing with the sound of machine guns. So what did Crowley say when they finally captured him? Did he admit he was a cold-blooded killer? Nope. He actually said that he was just defending himself, and that underneath it all, he had a kind heart. A kind heart?
And this is the huge lesson from Crowley's delusion. 99 times out of 100, people will not criticize themselves, no matter how obviously wrong they may be. It's just not how we're wired.
You know, this is a lesson that even the greatest leaders had to learn the hard way. Take Abraham Lincoln. As a young man, he absolutely loved to publicly ridicule his opponents, and it was a habit that almost got him killed.
So after he publicly mocked a politician, that politician challenged him to a duel, to the death. They actually met on a sandbar armed with these massive broadswords. The duel was stopped at the very last second, but that experience changed Lincoln forever. He never publicly insulted anyone ever again, a lesson that probably shaped his entire presidency.
So if criticism is a total non-starter, what actually works? How do you get someone to change their behavior or do what you want them to do?
The secret is actually pretty simple, but it is so powerful. You have to stop talking about what you want. Instead, you have to figure out what they want and then show them how to get it.
Let me give you a simple but absolutely brilliant example of this principle in action. So instead of just demanding that his son go to kindergarten, this dad, Stan, he flipped the script. He started thinking entirely from his son Tim's perspective. He made a list of all the fun things Tim could do there, like finger painting. Then the whole family started finger painting at the kitchen table, making it look like the most fun thing in the world, and told Tim he had to go to kindergarten to learn how.
And what happened? By creating that eager want in his son, he accomplished something that no amount of arguing or threatening could. The next morning, Tim was already dressed and waiting by the door.
So what does all this tap into? Well, underneath it all is maybe the deepest, most powerful urge in all of human nature, our desire to feel important.
Now, this brings us to a really crucial point Carnegie makes. There is a world of difference between cheap, insincere flattery and honest, sincere appreciation. One is basically counterfeit money, the other one is pure gold.
And Carnegie himself learned this lesson firsthand through a really powerful personal experience.
Just think about this. He was at a dinner party, and by simply listening, I mean really listening, and making this botanist feel that his work was important, Carnegie, who barely said a word all night, was called a most interesting conversationalist. That's amazing. Okay, so this brings us to Carnegie's final and maybe most important message of all. None of this matters one bit as a theory. It only, and I mean only, works when you put it into action.
This little poem really says it all, doesn't it? You can be dead right in an argument, you can win the point, or you can build a relationship and win people over. You very rarely get to do both.
This isn't just a book you're supposed to read and then put back on the shelf.
It's meant to be used. It's a handbook to be put into practice every single day.
So, the only question that really matters now is the one right here on your screen. What is the one principle from all of this that you will actually put into action today? That's the only thing that's going to make a difference.